Good morning. Praise the mighty and exalted name of Yahweh. Welcome to Uni's Tree. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's open up with the book of Psalms, Psalms 23. This is a psalm of David, and it reads, Yah is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of Yahweh forever. Hallelujah. Y'all willing, starting today, I'm going to do things a little bit different. A lot of times on this walk, this journey, we need to be inspired. Sometimes, a lot of times I need an inspiration to keep moving. But today I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to start out and we're going to discuss Psalms 73. And we're going to take our time with this. I'm not going to rush through it. I'm just going to go through the first 10 verses and then we'll take y'all willing 10 verses a week and just discuss them. All right. And if you happen to come on and you have questions, you can always feel free to ask. All right. So in Psalm 73, I'm going to start at the very first verse. It says, truly, Elohim is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. Now, two things that happen in this one verse. One thing is, the psalmist is letting us know that Yahweh is good to Israel. He's good to Israel as a whole. But he is really good to those who have a clean heart. See, sometimes you may wonder, like, man, why are people who, are out here doing wrong, why they seem to be prospering? See, a lot of times what we have to realize is Yahweh is going to bless who he wants to bless. That's just the understanding of it. Our mind shouldn't be necessarily focused on why they keep getting blessed, but more so how blessed you are who are trying to walk with the Almighty with a clean heart. I know it's not easy. I understand that. But there's a lot of benefits that reap from someone walking with the Almighty with a clean heart. Verse 2 reads, but as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. So what that is, the psalmist is letting us know that there are times where we've all slipped and we've all fell short in one way, shape, form, or another. We've all done it. But the beauty behind the slip is that even though you fall, Yahweh gives you an opportunity to get back up and to keep on that path. Because eventually, when you come across another slippery slope, when we concentrate on being better, then our footing will be a little bit more stable. Don't mean you ain't gonna slide a little bit, but at least you'll have better balance. Verse 3 says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." And that's something that happens when you see the wicked still prospering and getting money. And even though they're doing things against the law of the Almighty, they still seem to be blessed. And when you see that, that make you feel like, man, what am I doing? I was watching this pastor, and it came across my feed, and he was talking, and he said that I'm not going to quote him verbatim, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase. He was kind of saying how Satan, but I'm going to say how the world will have things set up to where you would feel that the good that you do is not being appreciated. The world is set up to show how the more evil you do, seems like the more prosperous you become, right? Let's look at music, for example. There are a lot of conscious singers and rappers out there, especially in Israel. There are a lot of conscious singers and rappers out there. And I know that, a lot of them don't want to go mainstream, and I can understand why. But let's think about something. How many record labels are knocking down the doors to get to the conscious rappers? Nah. The music that you see making it is the music that promotes evil, that promotes homosexuality, that promotes whoredom, that promotes murder. That's the music that's making it. If I was to make a song right now talking about how women ain't shit and they just HO and they just HWORSs, and if I'm making music just talking about that and selling drugs and how I'm making money in my community, I'm driving around in a $300,000 car, but the people around me are living in 10,000, their average income a year is $5,000 to $10,000, but I'm making it and I'm making money. As long as I'm making music about those things, I'll make it. As a matter of fact, it's deep, because even if I make music about killing someone that looks just like me, the same hue as me, I'll make money. But as soon as I make a comment about the wrong of homosexuality, or as soon as I make a comment about the wrong of how this government is set up, now you want to censor me. Now you want to put me in YouTube jail or Facebook jail, as some say. But as long as I'm talking about things or rapping about things or singing about things that are culturally destructive, it seems like those people prosper. And the more that you see that, the more you feel like, hey, then what am I doing? Why am I spending so much time wanting to be good when all I have to do to make it is be evil? Real simple concept. Well, let's continue reading. And this is why. This next verse is going to explain why the psalmist said he was envious at the foolish. In verse 4, it says, "For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm." It seems as though the wicked Even those, for example, I'm going to use them for example, the TV evangelists, right? It seems like they make good money, and then years down the line, you hear reports of how they were extorting money from their congregants, and then you'll hear about they had all these scandals. There's a movie called Honk. I think it's called Honk for JESUS Christ, or Honk for JESUS. And my wife and I watched that movie, and it was really deep because it was about a pastor of a mega church who was bringing in millions and millions and millions of dollars, but was corrupt, had sexual encounters with boys, and it came to fruition. He was brought up on charges and ended up settling out of court, but it caused his church to break up. And throughout this movie, his wife is stressed, and throughout this movie, there's a scene where I guess the court case was settled, and he's in the gym with this young black male. He's an adult male who was also homosexual, and he is talking with this young man, and then eventually it gets to the point where he's stroking the young man's face and telling him like how he knows a lot of people and he can get his career going. It's like he didn't get enough. He didn't stop. He didn't realize it. But sometimes the wicked feel like they're untouchable. So it make you want to feel like, dang, well, it will, excuse me, not make you want to feel like, it will make you feel as though you're walking in vain when you're trying to do the right thing. Verse 5 says, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. When you have individuals, especially individuals with a lot of money, let's say this, and they go to court and they purchase the best defense attorney that money could buy, and they committed the crime, they did the crime, but they get off. And then it makes them arrogant because they were able to pay off the prosecutor. They were able to pay off the judge, even with having a great, and let's say they weren't able to pay, let's say they didn't pay off the prosecutor, but they were able to pay off the judge, where the judge takes bribes. In the scriptures, the Almighty told the judges that he didn't even want them taking gifts. You understand? But it seems like they get away with murder, literally. But then take someone like you and I. You and I could go to court for the same exact charges, Yah forbid, for the same exact charges that a so-called 1% individual may go for as well. But the one that's 1%, the 1%er, would get off, maybe with probation, maybe nothing. But you and I would serve time and probably have some extra time put on for the same crime. The injustice. We live in an unjust society. And because we live in this unjust society, it'll make you frustrated. It'll make you hate. It'll make you angry. And maybe that's what this man wants us to do. He wants us to hate. He wants us to be angry, because if I hate, that means I'm not just going to take my hate out on them. I'm going to direct my hate out on those that are around me. So then what they do is they allow us, so then next what is created during the Holocaust. Hitler created these places, and it was to watch the subjects, his subjects or whatever. And they were called projects. Hence, the lower class, so-called lower income, more so to speak, because you don't have to be low class in order to be, and I mean, you don't have to be an ignorant person to fall under living in the projects. The projects hold some of the most intelligent and articulate people. It's just sometimes dealing with times today, times are just hard. But you have projects. So you have these communities that's predominantly inhabited by poor, low-income families, right? Where the average yearly income may be 20 grand, and that's doing okay. And then you put us in these communities, and then we're put in these communities, and there's a system that was started in, they say it was started in India actually, and it was called the CAST system. And what the caste system is a system where how you were born is how you will basically die. So in other words, if you were born rich, then that's how you would be for the rest of your life. But if you were born poor, then that's what you would be for the rest of your life. I'm just paraphrasing the whole concept. So in other words, here's what we would do. Here's what will happen. Let's say that a poor person came across fortune. Well, in the caste system, you still could not be part of the 1%. You would just be fortunate, have money, but you would still be brought up amongst the poor. That's how you kept the classes at certain levels. You kept the high class here. If you were born into it, it was a hierarchy. That's what you did. It was sort of like a kingship. In order to be a king, you had to be born into that bloodline. But if you were a peasant, you stayed a peasant. That's sort of a quick overview of what the caste system is. And we perpetuate the caste system every day. What do? When you watch us on television and you see us on videos, and what are we flossing? We're flossing big money. We driving around the ghetto in a Lamborghini or a Mercedes or Lexus, or we have a 400, 300, we driving in the hood in a Maybach, right? We flossing with gold, and we have gold in our mouths, and we have gold on our fingers, and gold diamond watches, and we in the hood like we keeping it real. Like, yeah, we look real stupid because we're just perpetuating the caste system. And then that's what people in the hood see. And then they entitle it being hood rich. You walking around the poorest part of the neighborhood, you got your brother over here sleeping on benches. You got a mother who is at home, who is a single mother raising a child. It's not even, you don't even have to have multiple children to be struggling. This woman is raising her child the best way she can. She has to work. She can't take off. Excuse me, she can't take off. So she's working even when she's sick. So then that helps. So she's not able to have adequate health care. And you're walking around a neighborhood with 20 stacks in your pocket, flossing your gold. And then you're wondering why you're getting robbed every 5 minutes. So then the way that you help your community is you put people on who don't have money, right? You don't put them on in order to get up out the ghetto. You put them on to keep them in the ghetto, to keep that hamster wheel going. And then what happens is eventually you become what's known as an OG, or you find God or whatever. And then all of us, but the poison that you put in your community, All the money that you made, you didn't use it to build your community up. Yeah, you might throw around a few turkeys here and there on Thanksgiving. You might throw a few gifts out there for Xmas. You might even open up a club or a little bodega, but the little store that you open up in your neighborhood is not serving healthy food. You're not bringing in vegan food. You're not bringing in like things that are healthy. You're not opening up stores where people can come in and purchase fresh fruit. You're opening up stores where people can come in and purchase cigarillos or you know, old candy or things that keep not only the mind sick but the body sick. Alcohol. You're opening up a club or a bar. You don't take your money and open up a library in your neighborhood. Some may say, well, brother, what you doing? If I had the means, and this is what I'm working towards is having the means. Yes, I would open up a small bookstore. A small bookstore. But even if I open up a small bookstore, you know, most of us are open up, take our money in the hood, and we keep it in the hood though. That's part of the caste system. We'll keep it in the hood. Well, we would even open up a clothing store and we would sell clothing that only those who sell drugs can afford. We won't open up a community center. We won't open up things that help. We won't even start a program. We won't even open up or start a program where young youth in the neighborhood, you know, where they would take and be able to have jobs for the summer. And the wicked know these things. And the wicked ain't just the white man. The wicked look like me and it look like you. See, wickedness doesn't have a color. Wickedness don't go by color. It goes by mindset. And all of us have a mindset. But when you see these things, when you get up in the morning and you may come out of a household in certain neighborhoods, you may come out of a household and you may feel positive when you leave that house. But by the time you walk from your house to your car or from your house, or when the children are walking from the house to the bus stop, that positivity just seems to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And then they go into a school where negativity is perpetuated. You go into a school, what do you see? You see metal detectors. You know, children aren't walking into an environment where it's conducive to learning. They walk into an environment that's mainly conducive for building a mindset for survival. So my mind, when I get to school, I'm not thinking about what 2 + 2 is. I'm thinking about what Tony and Ronnie may do after school to me if I don't if I come in there with some new gym shoes on. So my mind isn't on history. My mind is how to function in my environment now until I get home. Verse 7 reads, in verse 6, when it talks about their pride compasses, they're prideful because they feel like I'm untouchable. Who can touch me? Who can really see? Who can touch me? I'm able to buy the best of lawyers. I got money. Some of the crimes that I want to commit, I don't even have to do. I could pay little Tony over there to go shoot somebody for me because all he wanted some gym shoes. So I could pay him to go do it. He ain't never did a crime. They'll just give him maybe a year or so and he'll be out. Perpetual cycle of wickedness. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes the biggest enemy isn't the one that doesn't look like you. I just read in the book of Psalms 50, I want to say it's 56, where David said, man, if it was my enemy, I can deal with that. If it was my, if it was my enemy, I can deal with that. I can hide from my enemy. But it wasn't my enemy. It was someone, it was my friend. Basically, I came up against him. Verse 7, it reads, their eyes stand out with fatness. Excuse me. Verse 7 reads, their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They talk about, they love it. When they talk about oppression, let me give you an example of talking about oppression. If anybody walk in my neighborhood and I don't know you, I might take your life. That's oppressive. When you got people that look just like you and me, we can't even drive in certain neighborhoods because if people don't know us in that neighborhood, we're a target. So now you and me can drive through a neighborhood. We're a target in our neighborhood, and we're a target in the so-called predominantly white neighborhood. So we can't go nowhere. So how much oppressive is that? That you would think that you would feel safe. Do you think that Chinamen can go through Chinatown and have to feel threatened that way? Think of other nationalities, right? Let's say in Cincinnati, we have a neighborhood called Roseline in Bond Hill, which was at one point in time predominantly Jewish. A Jewish man could live in Indian Hills, or they could live in Marymount, or they could live somewhere out on the east side, and then they come downtown, and then they come to Bond Hill. If they were Jewish, that was enough for the neighborhood to recognize that that's a Jewish individual, so we're going to support that Jewish man or that Jewish woman. Not in the Black community. We're classified by neighborhood. What neighborhood you from? Hell, it ain't even now. It's not got years ago. I heard that it was an issue with even being on a different street. One street beefing with another street. Some area of a part of the city we do not even own, but we're beefing over it. Man, it's my block. No, it's not. Hey, at any given moment, the police can pull up and make you move from your block or arrest you. So you see all these things, and you're trying to do what's right, but it's easy to fall victim. It's easy to fall victim to number one, complacency, because you feel like, ain't nothing I can do. All I'm gonna worry about is going from point A to point B. It ain't even safe for the so-called OGs of the neighborhood. Even these young guys nowadays, they don't respect the OGs. They don't respect none of that. They don't even respect themselves. These young guys that's out here now are like, I mean, it's scary. They don't have respect for themselves. They don't have respect for the game. They don't have respect for nobody. You got young people out here that's just angry, out of control, without guidance. Verse 9, it reads, they set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Try to talk to some of these young people out here about, go out here and try to talk to them about the Almighty. There was a brother that, there was two brothers that would go down to the parts of the ghetto, to the hood. And they would talk to the young guys on the street. Well, I think one time, as he was saying that they did that and got shot at. They didn't come with guns. They came with scripture and got shot at. They don't care about no heaven and hell. They care about right now. In verse 10, and this is where we'll stop, y'all willing, for today. It says, therefore, his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. The prosperity of the wicked, the prosperity of those who choose to do what's wrong as opposed to uphold righteousness. We live in a society where good is bad and bad is good. So what I'm going to do now is I just wanted to go over that and just that first portion of Psalm 73 because I like this Psalms because it's a Psalms and it's a Psalms that explains how a lot of us feel. We send our children out to these environments because a lot of us may not be able to afford the homeschool, or a lot of us, and I'm not being facetious, I'm just being real. A lot of us as adults don't have the proper understanding or education to be able to properly teach the children, either teach our children. We just basically give them what we know. You know, there are so many undiagnosed disabilities out there in our community, and we just, if you don't believe that we're in captivity, then you still sleep. We're oppressed by ourselves. We're oppressed by our enemies. If you're able to get any sleep at night, with all the things that go on in our communities and our neighborhoods, thank Yahweh. Because the things that go on in our neighborhoods and in our communities, in the book of Deuteronomy 28, it talks about how when it's day, we're going to wish it was night. And when it's night, we're going to wish it was day. Because there will be no rest. But if you and your families are able to sleep and get rest, to at least escape for a moment, thank Yahweh for that. Thank Yahweh for that peace. All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to stop today, and then Yah willing, we'll pick up by his will next week. So let's read our exit Psalms. Let's go to Psalms chapter 1. And let's read this Psalms. Praise Yahweh. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the unelohimly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The unelohimly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the unelohimly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahweh knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the unelohimly shall perish. Blessed be Yahweh. Thank you, Yahweh. Amen. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to Umi Street. Praise the Most High Yahweh. Let Yahweh be our guide and our protector. May Yahweh bless us and keep us. May he shine his face upon us and be gracious unto us. May he lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. Blessed be Yahweh. Bless Yahweh. Amen. Yah bless. Shalom, shalom.